go live.
Yeah, I did.
I'm ready. Don't look at me that way.
Why are you putting on a hoodie?
Oh, because I keep getting chills.
Really?
It's like you don't know me.
Maybe we should stop putting the fan on at night.
No, I get hot at night. Here you go.
Oh!
Now move. Move.
Did you like that? It was a siren.
There we go. Okay. Oh, and I need glasses so I can see.
Oh my goodness. These are Jesse's amazing banana cookies with our, are we calling it our heaven mix or our devil mix inside of it?
Well, I call it the devil mix because it's very delicious and temptation-y, and I want to eat the entire doggone bucket of it every time I get into it. And so it's like both, I guess. I don't know. But hello, everyone.
It's got peanuts, chocolate chips, peanut butter chips, little peanut butter cups,
Reese's Pieces, and then pretzels filled with peanut butter.
And cold brew caramel M&Ms.
Yes. And in a banana cookie.
Cookie.
Oh, Jonathan, for sure. I'll have to remember to post that. If I forget, ping me on Discord later, and I will totally post the recipe.
Well, Jonathan is here. Hello, Jonathan. And a special hello to Jonathan, because Jonathan said earlier that he might have to miss today's stream and future streams in July.
It's not July yet. Thank you, Jonathan. So I chose this as our opening page, by the way. Just to see if you wanted to, like...
Yeah. And it's almost...
say things.
It's almost all on the screen.
Well, it doesn't quite fit. If you look at our window, the right edge of the N from CopyCon is cut off as well.
Dang, you're right.
And so I specifically positioned it. So thank you for pointing that out, David, that I work to position these things just so before I leave the computer for you.
So, also, as you know, just a big...
ooh, hey, Bib.
I mean, it's kind of well known. But periodically, Biblaridian has to return to the blessed realm whence he came. It's really for them, it's kind of like without Biblaridian, the blessed realm just isn't as blessed. And so they require him to return periodically in order to provide them all with his beneficence for a bit. And so that's why we have to, kind of go without him here on earth for a little bit. But he has shown his countenance upon them and now returns. And so here we are. And what better way to hail his return than either announcing or saying again what the schedule for CopyCon is, because I could have sworn we did this last week.
We did. I'm just reviewing.
We did. We're reviewing the schedule for CopyCon.
You were talking about Biblaridian. I wanted to point out.
No.
Biblaridian will not be in the Blessed Realm, but will be in the Enchanted Realm of Washington, D.C. in September of 2023.
That's why he had to go up now, so he would be available for CopyCon. And Mr. Laridian is, of course, speaking at 5 p.m. Eastern Time at CopyCon Saturday, September 23rd, Georgetown University. So,
indeed.
I know that many of you will probably then show up at 4:59 p.m. to CopyCon. I understand that. But, we're grateful to have you for any amount of time.
Well, if you're going to do that, I would encourage you to show up a little bit earlier from the, during the break, so then you could, get a seat. Because chances are the seats will be taken.
Yeah.
So I encourage you to get there earlier. Anyway, just wanted to make sure we all remembered that.
This is a website called Google.
Now we're ready for a poll that David remembered to tabulate the responses for.
Well,
or to look at. Sorry, I remember what David does. He looks at.
The poll response was pretty Easy.
Yes, Mateus. Just at the very end. I love it.
So the poll results were pretty easy a couple hours ago. They've gotten more difficult. So I am actually...
Did our patrons do this to you on purpose?
Well, it was clear cut. 2 hours ago, I made an announcement. Said, hey, you know, don't forget to vote in the poll if you want to, because it's close. And so now they're going to make me do a little bit of work. So
so David's actually going to do some tabulation.
I invite you to kind of...
I'm going to talk about the poll.
Oh, you're going to talk
and the
about
options?
The
no, you don't want me to?
I don't know. You can talk about whatever you want. I can't stop you.
It feels like you don't want me to, and so I'm going to let David explain talk about the poll.
No, I'm not going to talk. You can talk about whatever you want, because I'm not going to talk. I'm tabulating.
I just remembered that I needed to put my do not disturb function on, so if I get a text, it does not show you information on my computer screen. But yeah, just as a basic introduction to what David is tabulating, I'll let him do the honors of explaining all of the different options when he's ready. But this week's poll was focused on possession, specifically a verbal possessive construction. And so wherever it actually comes from for the H possession, something like in English where we have as the main verb. So like I have a dog, or in my case, I don't have a dog. And so using that kind of verb construction. And so we hadn't figured out how we were going to do that in Hubble quite yet. And so we had ended last stream on a variety of options. And I'm going to see if I can find quickly. I think it's here. Yes. These were the kinds of options that we had ended on in our last stream. And so that's what the poll was created out of. And so I am very excited to find out which one won.
We're getting...
and David is close to being able to talk about it and close to being able to do that. I'm also catching up with some of the chat. Okay, my geography is failing me right now, and so I'm going to look up where Mateus just got back from. If I can scroll. Oh, that did not really work well. That was the name. Okay, so I'm gonna Google and find out what's underwater right now.
So I think I was right.
Oh, you were doing another joke. I'm so gullible when you guys tell me that you have visited some location, and I'm like, yeah, where is that? And then it's like, you know, you're doing a Tolkien reference or a different reference, but like my head doesn't go to fantastical references when you do this kind of thing. I'm like trying to place it on a map, and I don't even expand my search parameters.
You know,
and I should have.
I don't know what your excuse is. You've read that Tolkien stuff.
I have read it. But I'm telling you right now what my problem is. My head goes in one direction because it's like, oh, Mateus just got back from a trip.
One direction.
And so it like thinks about the real world, and then yeah. So anyway. Ooh, nice, Mateus. And that's a real location. Well, Bubba, first of all, if you think David's hip and cool, I'm glad you do. Not sure it totally fits. And David didn't know the reference, so you know, this is just another one. And so yeah, but the real question is, Mateus, while you were there, did you call it Ibiza or Ibiza?
Oh God,
where did you go? What was your IPA pronunciation? Are you hip and cool? Bubba tried to say you are.
I am, because I say Ibiza, like where I came because
I'm
not trying to pretend that I'm from Spain.
My original Spanish teachers were all from Spain, and so like we learned gracias and Ibiza.
What the heck were they doing in Missouri?
If you mean Buffalo, New York.
Those were your original Spanish teachers?
Yeah, because a lot of the Spanish teachers at the University at Buffalo are exchange students who are there to get their like master's and PhD. And so then they teach the Spanish classes, and that's where I took Spanish.
Man.
And so I took it from Spain Spanish speakers.
All right. Okay, I do have the results of the poll. It was what I thought it was, but still, I'm glad I totaled it up. Yeah.
Well, I didn't actually go through any of the options, so you have that
sure
glory. I just reminded everyone it was about that verby possession construction.
Yeah, so we're going to do, the British do. The British are so strange when it comes to pronouncing foreign words. And I'm just going to leave it at that. All right, so we're talking about possession.
Okay, so Great British Bake Off, and it's not a foreign word. It's what now established an English word. But the first time we heard celebratory.
Oh, celebratory.
David thought they were like joking. And was like, no, like that, what are they doing? Are they doing some like play on something? And then they kept saying it in subsequent episodes, and then he realized, no, that's just the pronunciation.
The first time I heard celebratory, I thought it was like just a little gag. But then it's like they said it again, and I was like, that's a weird callback. And I was like, no, that's just how they say it. But yeah, okay, so possession. There are a couple of different types of possession, at least that that linguists have identified. One of them is called H-possession. H-possession is so called because of habeo, the Latin verb, which is apparently not cognate, though perhaps cognate with English have.
Who knows?
Because they go back, and it's like, maybe these two stems are just versions of one another. Anyway, H-possession is possession that requires a main verb where the subject is the possessor and the object is the possessee. Very ordinary for English speakers because it's like our verb have. So, like, I have a cat. The subject is the haver, the possessor, and the cat is the havee, the possessee, the thing that is had. So that's what H-possession is. And there's really interesting stuff going on here. I just read an awesome draft paper on temporal metaphor. Okay. Sure, go for it.
Sorry, tincture, I'm not
sure.
Set. I feel like... Wait, what? Oh, nice.
Okay. All right. I've read all this stuff. I'm not going to comment on it. We're just going to get right back to the poll for our dear viewers that don't pay attention to the live chat.
Okay, yeah, and I need to get over the tincture example because I'm trying to figure out how it's connected and why that matters.
Advertisement in American English, advertisement in British English.
Well, right, but like, why does that matter about connecting to...
We have weird stress. Because advertisement, it's like that stress is way too far to the left. I mean, if you think about the rest, it just doesn't make any sense.
Anyway, go on.
Anyways, that's really the entire point.
H-possession, a verb meaning to have.
No, really though, but that's it. There's advertisement. The stress is so strange. It really is.
But it's not like the British stress.
No, it's not.
Which is what tincture is saying in the comment, though, right?
The British stress is better and makes more sense than American stress in that case, which I think is true.
I was just confused by the connection because I was like, but it's different. Because
that's the connection. We were
no,
saying...
the connection, Tincture specifically said celebratory is how we say advertisement. I say advertisement with stress on the first syllable, the primary stress, but Tincture's saying we say advertisement. And so anyway, that's why I was confused for a moment. Because if it matches the British celebratory, then we would say advertisement. But it doesn't really match. It's just the same like bump, bump, but the secondary and primary stresses are switched.
Okay, but
no.
But
that's all. That's why I was confused. So now I'm just telling you that you weren't explaining.
That doesn't make sense, Tincture. They're different suffixes. Celebratory, that's different suffix from advertisement. It's different suffix.
Different amount of syllables in the suffixes too.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I didn't mean to derail it. It's just when you were trying to, but you were explaining to me something I wasn't confused about, and so I was trying to explain to you why I had been confused. That's all. And now we can move on.
Now I don't understand.
Well, now we can move on. We're both confused, and we can move on. I was just stopping the explanation to me of something I understood already.
But then you explained something that neither of you is making sense.
So good. We're all confused. Okay. Now, yeah, getting back to the poll. David, option A was to have where the possessor is the subject, the possessed is the object. That is one option.
I don't agree with Jonathan's assessment there. I think it's done out of ignorance most times. But see, Jonathan wants us to move on. Tinctures wants us to not move on. You guys fight. Tell me who wins. We were going to consider, we originally had 5 options. Oh, jeez. Celebratory cookie was launched in my throat there.
Your throat at?
Yeah. That's where throat comes from, because you throw food at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was almost the tosser.
Yeah.
But...
So we were originally going to have 5 options. One was to have a verb that was just like have in English. Decided to get rid of that option because I figured the patrons would never go for it anyway. So the result was that we were going to have 2 habeo verbs. One that was used with animate objects or possessees, one that was used with inanimate possessees. So that there would be a different verb for saying, I have an aunt versus, that was a bad example, I have an uncle versus I have a box.
Ants are still animate, whether it's spelled with a U or not.
But the relationship one has with an ant, the animal, which is presumably a pet, is different from the relationship one has with one's father's sister. So, uncle was clear. So, the have and I have an uncle would be different from the have and I have a box. All right. Anyway, so that was one option. Another option is to use a be possessive verb, and this one presumably comes from the word belong. It is a verb, except that the role of possessor and possessee is swapped. So in belong in English, the subject is the possessee, and the object is the possessor. This is exactly the type of thing where if this didn't happen in English, they would explain this in linguistics classes, and students would be like, what? Those languages are crazy. I can't imagine a language doing that. That's the weirdest thing. But it happens in English, so like we're just fine with it. I mean, it just swaps those roles. Isn't that strange?
But it requires a preposition phrase, and I think that's the hardest part. There are still English speakers that struggle with this because you have to say it belongs to someone. And knowing that a verb could mean the belong to as a unit, and then the someone is the object of the verb rather than part of a preposition phrase, it can throw people off.
Yeah.
Because a lot of students who create this kind of construction in their language end up creating an adpositional phrase that's required because that's what English does.
Yeah. I just think belong to is the whole verb complex, which is probably the way it functions in English. But very good point. I glossed over that because I think of to so much as the belong part. Anyway, the point is possessee and possessor are flipped. And the thing that makes this option unique for Hauhof is that we have something that was originally a verb that actually functioned like belong. And we used it as the source of our genitive. And this was protoform I, which meant to heel in the doggish sense. So when a dog heels to you, it kind of like follows at your heel. That was the idea. And so we decided to make this a proto-verb, and then we didn't use it outside of the genitive. What we were positing for B then is the reason we were only going to have one of these verbs is that we were going to use that verb.
Yeah.
And we were going to say its modern form, its full modern form, is actually a be possession verb.
Yes.
So that was that option. All right. The next two options are basically the same. It just depends on which one is which. So we were going to have the locative copula. And we were going to use that. The possessee would be the subject of the locative copula. And then the possessor would be rendered with a prepositional phrase. And option C was going to be with O, that was the essive. And in other words, so like the cape is at me, and that is how you'd say have. Lots of languages do something like this. Option D was to use the as yet uncreated comitative. So the cape is with me, and that would mean have. All right, so those are the options.
I love your example sentences when you come up with these. You know, you've got cape and all these other examples that I wouldn't have necessarily thought of. It just makes me smile. Now I'm imagining a superhero and how they would say this. How would Underdog talk about his cape?
A lot of your LangTime drawings have featured animals with capes.
It's very true. Well, a lot of the cats, because the cats were really cape-wearing animals. It's their fancy.
Yes, that's right. Okay, so these were our four options. And I'm going to tell you right now that locative copula was extraordinarily unpopular.
Was it? Oh,
yeah.
I thought that was really kind of efficient.
Yeah, even more so after I gave kind of 2-hour warning. I think a lot of people came in and changed their votes.
Wow.
So the option D with the comitative got 1 vote out of there.
Whoa.
The locative copula with O got 3 votes. And so this came down to A and B. The 2 H verbs with an animacy distinction, or the 1 B verb that derives from our older root. And the result was separated, the final result was separated by 1 vote.
Nice.
1 vote decided it.
1 vote to rule them all.
We'll see.
Next week.
This result's going to upset somebody. I can't wait to see who.
Wow, David, no need to delight in somebody's pain. Okay, go on.
Oh, but I do. All right, so the winner by 1 vote was option B, the B verb. So there we go.
All right. I mean, I like it. I
do too.
Holy cow.
Good result.
Nice. Also, there we go. I'm going to get this all set up as well. There we have it. Okay, so then if we need Lexer-G, I'm ready. Cool. So we have that. Oh, Bubba is not happy, but Matisse is, and Jonathan's fine with that. Also, Matisse likes to use owl-based examples in grammars, and I just want to point out that, like David and I are doing, we've mentioned before, Finnish on Duolingo. Speaking of owls, and the name that we kept coming across a lot, or a series of names rather, is Perlinen and Perlila. And we then later learned that the word for owl in Finnish is perle.
Is perle.
Perle. Yeah, my Gemini L was not coming across.
It wasn't that.
You know what? And so, ignoring David, we found that out. And so then we're like, we bet that's why so many other names have it, specifically for Duolingo with its owl mascot.
Yeah.
So it's like focusing on the owl based names. And so, anyway, that was kind of an exciting little connection. And yeah.
All right. So.
And Mateus, maybe you got the, because it's.
Oh, no, pille with two.
Yes, because I say it wrong, as I do most things. Right, David?
You were fine.
Uh-huh.
You're actually, but it was weird. You were saying it in a way you've never said it before. Often they teach the vowel by putting an R next to an E and saying that that's similar. So they like say, if you can't pronounce O umlaut, try pronouncing it with ER. And that's why you hear people saying, Goethe for Goethe. Anyway,
I did not ever hear that.
Yeah, you were pronouncing it with an R, and so I was like, oh, that's weird. You never do that. You always say pillinen, pillinen, pillila, and so on.
Any hoozles. But yeah. And now I have to look at Jwadi and see if I have a word for owl yet.
Yeah, so pilla is owl, and he suggests that the etymology is onomatopoeic. It's obviously not. It was just a joke. They just took the Spanish word pollo, and then they put umlauts over the O's. Just
I'm trying to figure out how an owl sound.
No. See, that's you have pilla. See, that's just like an owl. We have this weird woo thing. Owls don't make that sound.
Yeah, they do.
They clearly make the sound pilla.
Now, next you're going to tell me a rooster doesn't really say cock-a-doodle-doo.
No.
I clearly hear the full phrase.
He says,
kikiriki. In Italy.
Oh.
Whoa. Uchhaban or Uchaban? Uchaban?
With the BH, I'm guessing it's Hindi? Oh no, Irish. So who knows how it's pronounced? It could be pronounced, wubba.
Oh, it's Irish. Yeah, never mind. I should not have tried saying any of that.
Go ahead. Show us the IPA just so we can, react.
Oh my gosh, and now
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say the wrong vowel because I like it in High Valyrian, but like atroxia?
Atroxia, yeah.
I thought for a moment I couldn't remember if it was an O or an A in the middle, and so I suddenly was like, oh no, I may say it wrong, but I like that word.
Yeah, I was reminded
High Valyrian.
that word for owl in High Valyrian was named in honor of somebody on Tumblr for one of the contests.
Really?
Yeah, I totally forgot. Tumblr user Atrox.
And didn't you connect it then to like you ended up making it as a derived form off of a smaller root that was like something for night or something?
No, I derived a word from owl to mean night. The collective of owl is night. Atroxiar.
That's what it was. I knew
one
there
of the
was
words for night.
I knew that's like a really cool poetic word for night.
Mm.
Okay.
So I'm going to let me go to the possession section. I think that we have the start of it, right?
Well, I'm actually there. Oh yeah, there we are.
Yes.
That's where we had it, and now we just need to reduce it and give an example of the winner.
For H possession, how has the following be possessive construction?
But why call it H possession? Isn't B possession why not just say for verbal possessive construction? I don't know how to reword that to keep it all as a unit. It just sounds weird to me to say for H possession, we're using B possession.
Oops.
You really pushed me over, for I can't twist my chair at all without hitting the table.
Which,
Mine.
Which screams to all around that the subject of the verb heals to the speaker.
Oh, Logan. Where did that come from? Logan is saying, Uchewan. That's what an owl says.
Uchewan.
That sounds like a whippoorwill, doesn't it? That could have been what a whippoorwill was called. Uchewan.
Which screams to all around that the subject of the verb heals to the speaker. Yay. The subject of.
That's how you say yay in Finnish. Yay.
Is the possessive of the fabled construction.
Different yay. Y-A-Y is the one I was doing. I don't know how they would say yay as in Y-E-A.
Is the hallowed possessor.
Really, George? I thought they were smart birds, even if they weren't wise necessarily, but I thought they were of the smarter birds. And now George is saying that they're actually very stupid. Well, I mean, I guess small creatures think they're pretty smart, though.
Honestly, their brains are optimized for finding and catching small creatures and not much else. I think a stupider bird would be the one that's, going up and, pecking at a bear. I'm going to eat you.
Taking you with me. What? David, can you verify this?
Oh, there's like 4 words for owl in Arabic. Let's take a look. Let us spend some time looking up words for owl in Arabic. So Arabic has booma is the common one. Let's take a look. I don't see anything else. Maybe it'll be based on this. Here we go. Onomatopoeic in origin, related to classical Syriac and Akkadian. Alternatively, developed from Middle Persian. If that were the case, it would ultimately be from Proto-Indo-European bell, which is just owl.
He's reading that. George, a lot of birds get hit by cars, and they aren't even necessarily going for a kill. I get tunnel vision a lot, so I could probably be categorized as an owl, even though I'm definitely a turtle. But
Jesse sees
my tunnel vision.
Jesse sees
major.
A mouse in the street. Woo! 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 Bam.
That's it. And then magpie, yeah, definitely need a word for bird. Yeah, this is kind of blowing my mind a little.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, so Biblaridian has put me to rest because owls are not nearly as dumb as flamingos. And that seems, flamingos, are they not the party birds of the bird world? I mean, you can't be hot pink and not be and standing on one leg and not be considered some sort of party animal.
Okay, what should the dog have?
I'm going to go to our list. Ooh, the dog can have a name, can have fur.
Oh, what is the name? What's the word for name?
Dojo.
Okay.
Dojo.
There we go. And are there any? No, there aren't. And so return to the
to where you are?
Yes, to where I am.
And as much as we get sidetracked and whatnot in our episodes, I want to point out that our documents and documentation has upped its game, starting really in Wokutiji and then Sarkije and Hapo.
Yeah.
We've really upped our game in terms of not only how much we're documenting, the number of examples we're giving, but also like how expansive we're getting. Because I went to look something up in Ingala and then in Tapafla the other day,
Yeah.
and like it's embarrassing how incomplete those documents are. Like we're missing some really basic stuff, especially in Tapafla.
Mm-hmm.
We seem to skip over a whole lot.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. Well, okay, that was a crazy, tumultuous time. But, like, for shame.
Yeah.
For shame. Anyway.
So here we go. I doho wavram.
I love it. Jonathan says the Wiktionary page for pula lists a second colloquial definition. Fool.
The Arabic, incidentally, does not. But yeah, I doho wavram. Vram. It is so hard to not flap that. I doho wavram.
I doho wavram.
Wavram. Especially because it's bilabial. Wavram.
It's just like Ram.
Wavram. I doho wavram.
Not a redo. We just need to spend some love and time on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Anyway, so there we are. I'm also. I actually am going to make one quick note here. Please note, despite the fact that our genitive comes from the same source, the verb I does.
Speaking of I,
does not trigger palatal or intervocalic mutation in this subject, which follows it.
Jake is here.
Yake!
I also want to point out that we were able to finish this little portion before Jonathan had to leave, so they didn't miss the poll results. Yay! And so, now, Jonathan, when you do have to leave, just know that we at least did one thing.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Oh, hey, have you followed up about the Oxford English Dictionary?
No, not yet, because that requires...
Hey, folks, we need to know how to cite a definition in Oxford English Dictionary, and you can only do that if you have access to it. So if somebody has access, message Jessie. She needs to cite just one entry, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so far. That I know of, which is one of the reasons I was going to wait for the request, because I needed to.
So this will be an ongoing request. You will not be compensated for your work.
Did you really mean to say feast thee thine eyes?
Yes.
Not feast thine eyes? What is the thee there for?
Thou. I guess it should be thou.
Oh, you mean like...
Feast thou thine eyes.
Like as a subject, then yeah.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Okay. Oh, Jonathan, your sister has access to the OED, then... Sister. Then I will potentially be sending you a message, Jonathan, on Discord. I need to probably take notes so I remember that you had said that for a particular entry. Because I completed research before losing access to the OED, and now I can't fully cite it according to the methods they want me to, so, okay. And noting. All right, David.
Yes.
Oh, Tincture has access, too. Yay!
Spin that tincture. I'll take what you can give.
Alrighty.
Okay, hold on. Trying to... No, that looks a little bit too small. I think it should be size 11. It's trying to make purple negation exactly the same size as... anyway, jump to where I am in the document.
Really should have warned you all. Sorry. It's a little allergy-y here lately.
Yeah. Take that. All right, scroll up a little bit. What? Hold on, scroll down. Scroll back down. Scroll back down.
How far?
Oh, there's a second instance of purple negation. Okay, there we go. Thank you. All right, so, okay, back up to thus saith the dog, Josephi's 8:21. All right. Oh, that's your fault for wearing headphones, George.
Oh, George, I am so sorry.
Right before we hit the stream button, we say explicitly, please do not watch LTS with headphones. Every episode. Oh, no. Wait, hold on a sec. Can I do that?
I suppose, if you don't want it to be a big...
If you're doing small caps, there's no caps of small caps. What does that remind me of? It reminds me of something...
When I write in all caps, I still sometimes make my cap letters bigger.
No, it's where, like, there was some episode of something where it was like they were putting a monogram on something, and the monogram is usually your initials, and instead they made it their whole name. Oh,
nice. Man. Oh, Tincture, you have been saved by the broken on one side.
Hey, Tincture, you might get your hearing checked, because is it that your headphones are broken on one side, or is it just that you have trouble hearing on the one side? Because let me tell you, I discovered that it was the latter and not the former for me. Oh, man. Really, though, and do remind me and help me out here. Whenever I'm at a crowded table, I really need to sit so that my right ear is facing the most people. Last night, bar trivia, I was sitting in a spot so that my left ear was facing most people. It was difficult. And it makes it so that I tend to ignore.
Well, we were sitting at a roundish situation, so like there was no way for you to sit.
I should have been sitting across from where I was sitting.
But then you still would have missed half the group.
Mm-mm.
There was no spot for you to sit.
No, because see, then...
You meant after trivia.
No.
During trivia, we were seated in an oval. We were...
No.
Trust me. We were in an oval around a square table, and he was not. I am
right in this. I am correct in this.
Now, after, because you had someone sitting over there and two people over here, that's where you should have moved.
It was not as noisy then, first of all. But no, I am absolutely correct. I know what I'm talking about.
And now Jonathan has to go. Do you
I
see?
know what I'm talking about my own self.
You sneezed. No, I'm saying you weren't aware of who was actually at the table and where we were sitting.
I am.
I will draw you a map.
I know, and I don't think you understand exactly how it works. That's it. Give me this. Give me this. I want you to... Oh my gosh, there's so much stuff there. Give me something else.
Well, there.
There we go. All right. Here we go.
I keep notes on Posties.
This was where I was seated at.
Mm-hmm.
Correct? So that means
Except you have to remember someone came and sat here.
Sure. That meant I heard him well.
Mm-hmm.
If I was seated here, them, 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 them. Well, this would have been tough, but they were closer. See? So this is clearly the superior position. That's why I'm saying I should have been seated across. Do you agree now?
Oh, well, go for it, Tincture.
All right. You take over. Do the future tense. I'll be back.
Is David sneezing again? Okay, so David just drew me a diagram. We had three people, and then the ends creating an oval. And apparently David needed to boot the person out of their seat who had to have that seat because they had to have their leg raised because of an ankle injury. And David wanted to boot her with her boot. Okay.
Admit that I was right.
So now we're going to talk about
tensy stuff.
future
I don't know. Like that's
as an option.
That was just the one on top. We don't need to necessarily do future right now, but we need to talk about some of these. Thank you.
So that way everyone knows where to sit relative to David.
Yeah.
All right.
So far we've got negation and we have transitive versus intransitive perfective. Is that right? Participles. Where was the perfective? Because we did valency. Did we never actually write it down? We have examples using it.
Up here.
Oh.
It's above valency?
Why is it in? It's above valency.
Yeah, because it's like where we talk for,
okay.
Just like in general, how we do some basic tense kind of things.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, do we want to have, and this is absolutely an open question because we already have perfective versus imperfective. Do we want to have something that is explicitly either the dog keeps barking, continues to bark, or is barking that's kind of like emphatic, like it's in the middle of? Do we want to have something like that, or do we want to skip that for the time being and move on to something else, like imperatives, which would be totally different, but something we need to do?
Okay. I was also writing notes because Tincture had gone back to the earlier comment.
Oh yeah.
And was explaining things. And like the moral of the story is the same, that Tincture had the same response to advertisement that we had to celebratory. I have to like really think about it to say it that way with the different stress patterns. But I will say one of the reasons that we change in celebratory, when we change that stress pattern, how do you say it?
Celebratory.
You keep the stress on cell?
Yeah.
I do not.
Are you sure? You
Celebratory?
Yeah.
You like take out the...
Celebratory.
Well, that sounds celibate.
I'm sorry, celebratory. You're right.
Okay, yeah, I guess most people do.
Yeah.
Interesting. Never mind. I have no idea how I even say that word. I think I avoid it in all cases. Celebratory. Celebrity. I don't know how I say it. Never mind. So let's talk. I don't know what I want to do to talk about anything future-ish, continuative-ish. I don't know. Do you have ideas? Like
We can skip that and go to something that's not really in the same realm and do imperatives.
I think that would be nice. I think, yeah.
All right, let's start a new section then, because it really shouldn't be a part of these. I'm gonna...
We haven't done questions yet, have we?
No.
No, okay.
But I am going to, I think it should be after negation and before participles. So I'm going to put a new section, and this is going to be called imperatives.
How do we not have a section for that anyway?
Because sometimes it makes more sense to just put it with something else. To just
say that it's like, this is how it works.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I have joined you. I'm not entirely sure because to remind you all and to remind myself, we do have some different strategies for transitive versus intransitive verbs kind of across the board. We don't have verbs conjugating for anything. And so, like, let me actually highlight the verb. In a sentence like the dog chases the bird, hua is just hua. And so you can, however, show that if something is completed, like if that's important, you can add that information in with an extra particle that is separate, so separate from the verb that it actually shows up after the subject. And so it is, you know, very different. And so we can show that things are completed that way. So the question is, if I want to say chase the bird, like kind of where we may start is that we would need hua, hua are elements that we would definitely need. The question is, are we going to do anything special beyond that? Let me get back to where you are.
Can somebody remind me what is bird? What happens to bird? So I quav. Does it become I chwav? I chwav? No, qua.
Qua. Hua.
Okay, so it just becomes I chwav, and it's probably a chwav.
Or did we say that actually becomes a?
A.
Because here we have Yeah.
A. Sorry. Okay, and then and then what is the A? Does it disappear for H?
For H,
yeah,
we've got. God, these are okay. Here we go.
So
that one's in blue. What did the blue mean?
Aja. Oh, I added color to these.
So those mean they stay the same. The pink they change, but in voicing, is that correct? Green they change placement.
Well, no, green they fortify.
Okay.
And that's all they do.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
These are just matching things that say the ones that are in this color do the same thing.
And so this one does something nothing else does.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay.
But it becomes not a. And so if you go down to the imperatives, I have two sentences for us to start with.
Really thought I could get there faster.
I wanted them to be the same verb, so that was why this originally was the dog doesn't sniff the mastiff. I had to change it to the dog doesn't chase the bird. So anyway, so these are two sentences to start with. These are declarative, and we want to be able to say chase the bird and don't chase the bird.
Definitely don't chase the verb.
Yeah.
Let the verb come to you. That's how that works.
Good advice for language learning as well.
I think that is definitely the Finnish course expectation, as they have really stalled out on our verb learning.
Wasn't it crazy? The last one that we did, for me, it was just like more of the same simple stuff. And then for you, it suddenly busts out, seisume, or seisume. It was an O, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't an
Right.
Seisume.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so some observations. One, sometimes a way to do imperatives is to like throw a second person pronoun after the verb. In this case, I don't think that would make sense because it would just be identical to a declarative. And then for negatives, I think we're going to have to do something different because essentially our negation is just a copula.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little weird. I mean, you could do it, but it feels like, I don't know, maybe it should be something different. So option one is simple enough. Well, I guess the simplest one is that they're identical, but so we'll do option 0. They're the same. Wait, hold on. They're the same. All right. And then we have option 1. Delete the subject. And so that's what that is. Oh, and of course, we got to change this. And then this is don't chase the bird.
Do we need to highlight Brahm in like red or something? Because shouldn't that be you? And we don't have a pronoun yet?
We do have a pronoun, and you're right, we need to change that. Thank you, good point. Okay. So let's find what that pronoun is. It is boo.
Totally forgot that we did that.
All right, now you think of option 2.
Okay. Yeah, when I said that we were having allergy issues, I was not putting that lightly. It is been kind of painful lately, and so that's why David keeps running away. Okay. I also want to say, oops, delete the subject and make negative different. David will play with that wording. I want to have an option where we don't use the same construction here. This could also be option, 0.2, where it's like you have the subject, but it's a different negation strategy. And like the verb that comes to mind,
no, I think that's good enough to be option 3. I think this one is really strange. I think by default you will assume that we just delete the subject.
Okay.
So let's just...
well, it's still option 2, because this is option 1.
You're right, it is. Look at that. Boy, how sorry I am about that.
So this is the verb we're looking at here, because this one, as David had said, was actually based on a copular construction. Yeah.
Yeah. It is. Let's see what they mean. They're up there.
When you say up there, what do you mean? Sorry.
I have no idea, because I thought they were here. Go up a little bit. There we go.
Oh, there we go. Oh,
stand.
To shake.
Sorry, shake and flee.
And so here it's like the dog shakes, and then it's kind of like saying the dog shakes the sniffing of the mastiff. Yeah, right? Like
yeah.
It's turning the verb into the object of what's being shaken or fleed. And then it is, the of the mastiff has to be genitive at that point.
Yeah, Logan, that's a good one. That's essentially what David Bell did in Almanyar. Basically, it's marked for the surprising thing. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what other verbs are really, relevant
Stop.
for dogs.
Bite.
If you bite something, though, it doesn't feel like you're avoiding it. Stop works.
We could also have an old negative particle that's only used for like negative polarity items, like never, nowhere, nothing, and so on. And then like
and then in negative commands.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to say instead of particle, that's that idea. But then here's another one. This will be option 3 then. Really, we should have made option 0 option 1, but you know. Oops. Verb. And some options for a different verb would be stop. I was trying to think of something like avoid, but like simpler, like.
Yeah. Avoid can be simple.
I guess it can be. But yeah, something like avoid, stop, some other verb that we haven't used yet, and that's what it's going to be. Okay.
Or. And then this part, I guess, we don't know what it's going to be. Or.
Depending on its semantics, which one makes more sense, yeah.
And then I forget, are our demonstratives before the noun or after? We did make that decision already, but I just forget what it was.
These are still verbs. Bless you.
Very sorry.
At the very end of a noun phrase.
Okay.
There you go. I say I thought they were after, but I sure did not want to answer without double checking.
So in other words, don't chase the bird becomes chase no bird. Or bird.
Yeah. That's interesting. Oh, I kind of like that.
Yeah, it's kind of attractive and fits with what we've already created.
And it doesn't make the verbs more complicated. Because we've got, I love how many different constructions we have for some of the same things, like having different constructions for positive versus negative. Just like entirely different ways you have to form the overall clause structure if you go from a declarative statement that's positive to one that's negative. I like that we have different, you know, equative versus locative copular constructions. I really like all these things we're doing, but it feels overly complex in ways to make the imperative also be completely different if it's negative. And so I kind of like having it the same as the positive, but just essentially saying if there is an object, you say no in front of it. Now, where this gets complex is if you say don't sleep. There's no object. And so if it's a noun modifying
that'll be fun.
Particle, we have to do something different for the transitive versus intransitive, which again is something that we've already done because aspect modifiers are different if it's transitive or intransitive.
This is one way you could do that. Since all of our verbs can zero nominalize, we come out with a proverb, and so essentially we do the same thing. We use do or whatever, our proverb. The object is sleeping, which has no after it. So do no sleep.
Oh.
Could be fun.
Interesting. Okay. So basically we have to introduce a transitive verb to make it be able to be negativized. That's really interesting. In that case, would we, in the positive would just be sleep? Not do sleep, like we wouldn't force all intransitives. It's only the intransitive negatives that would require that.
We could allow it and say that the different doggish dialects do different things. Kind of like what happens with English and where we do and do not use do support.
Yeah. Okay, I kind of like that. So I'm really leaning towards the noun modifying option.
All right.
I like that one.
Then let's
thinking. Oh, I know what I was thinking. I was thinking something really random because David had said proverb, which is really funny if you ever type it. Like you kind of need to put a hyphen between pro and verb, otherwise it just is proverb.
Yep.
And it took me a while to realize that because I was writing about proverbs, and so I just kept typing proverb just like you would pronoun or anything else. And then I suddenly like went back to read, and my brain like saw what was on the page and immediately read it as proverb. And at first I was so confused. I'm like, when did I start writing about proverbs? And like it took a brief moment for my brain to realize what the mistake was there. And so yeah, if you want to write about proverbs, it's really best to hyphenate that. Awesome. I like this. Now we need
so we need two things, and we're gonna have to write this up. It'll be written up in a different way. This is just here proverb is a without a hyphen. A proverb is a saying or aphorism, like neither borrower nor lender be is a proverb, but it was a joke of a proverb in that it didn't make any sense.
And so other proverbs could be ones that do make sense. Like you could consider, well, nice, it's kind of a maxim, proverb, maxim, saying, like do unto others as you would have done unto yourself.
A proverb,
like
what
the
is
golden rule.
Sorry, the other definition is the Polonius ones. He's being made fun of by Shakespeare in that scene.
Yeah, the other one though is like when you use a verb to stand in for an entire verb phrase, just like you use a pronoun to stand in for a noun phrase. And so like David went skating, so did I, where did is now went skating. And like I don't say the full thing, but it's understood that the did stands for the entire verb phrase I just said. Or I could say like, oh, David went skating just like Mary did. And Mary, again, went skating, but like you don't say the full thing. And they can be really complex verb phrases, like David went skating under the ocean with goggles, and so did Mary. And so then, it can keep getting more complex, but the little proverb that gets used represents an entire predicate, essentially. And so, yeah, that's what those are.
All right, so we need two things. We need our proverb, and we need this negative one. For the negative one, may I suggest that its basic meaning is nothing?
Actually nothing. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, so it means blank. There's no meaning. But yeah, no, I like that where it's essentially, it means nothing. So it's almost like we're using these in apposition in the original forms, where it's like chase birds, none of them kind of thing. Yeah.
So none or nothing. There could be pro-adjectives. I was trying to think of a good example in English, but it was like, I don't know.
If you...
This, like, said. So it's like Mary took the book on Aristophanes to school and lent the said book to the teacher, or lent said book to the teacher. Lawyers say thus said, but we kind of say said. And it stands in for essentially whatever modifying phrase is there.
In some instances, you could argue, depending on your analysis, that so in English can be used as a pro-adjective kind of form.
Pro-adverb.
Or pro-adverb, because it's like if you say like, you know, David is good looking. And so is Mary. And then good looking is what so stands for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was trying to think of a good verb adjective for you. That was the first one that popped to mind.
You're not going to find any disagreement from me. It's looking pretty good today.
Allergies suit you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, I like this idea. We now need to...
I have
a short form for nothing.
Yeah.
Well, they all have to be short in this language. What am I even like?
I think CBC, but if you can go up to this table.
The big.
So we have, I think, really two options here for our short nothing word. Either we create something that intentionally changes with the various mutations, or we create something that intentionally does not change. So that, you know, it's kind of like it's stronger, you know, and it always sounds the same, you know, this nothing word. So the ones that don't change are W, scroll down, and M.
Those are the only?
Those are the only ones that don't change ever. N changes in a very minor way, you might think, but you can't have a word that starts with N.
No, because that would not be a protoform.
Yeah, I don't even know why I put N there. It's weird.
Well, because in our modern form, like a lot of these are not in protoforms, but they can end up appearing in modern forms.
Yeah.
And so like you need to be aware of them.
I'm just not certain that N can ever appear word initially that wasn't the result of a mutation.
Which means this mutation may actually be nya.
No.
How do we get...
Well, scroll up. Here, I'll show you. D can show up as N, or can show up as N.
Right, but I thought we actually had examples of the NY, like, and that's why the nya, which is why we included it.
Yeah.
Well, let me first check the IPA chart to see if we actually have those listed. We do, so they appear. Yeah. Which means we've got a change somewhere that... Jake, save us. Where does this happen?
Let somebody else figure it out, because this is not...
It's not important. It's neither here nor there. Okay,
ultimately, I think we're going to have to delete that row, because I don't think it actually makes sense. And we might not actually have nya or nya, which is the pharyngealized version of it. Oh, wait, here we go. Here's where they are. So we do have those, because it's ja, right? And so...
right, but ja is not a protoform either.
That
came from somewhere else.
No, it does happen. Because if it's followed by a diphthong a, then say dea will become ja, right? And then dea will become dia. And then those could become nya and nya, respectively. So that they do happen. But I don't think that there's going to be something that starts off with N.
Well, that's a problem for later.
Yeah.
So Bubba is saying no change for this.
Yeah.
I can feel that. If we do have no change for this, I feel M is a stronger start.
I think so too.
Than W. As much as, and this is from someone who loves W, so
yeah.
Nothing against W, but if you're really going to be like, chase no birds, you know, you want murr.
Yeah.
Just like that.
And so let's see. How about this? Yeah, throw out some CVC forms starting with M. Here's our consonant chart. Remember, focus on the ones that are protoforms, which are the ones in black and red. Mm-hmm. Both vowels and consonants. And it can be anything. So M followed by any of the black vowels, followed by any of the black or red consonants. And there can be a diphthong. The diphthong cannot include schwa.
Well, Logan, the only thing you missed is that we have decided, as Bubba had suggested, no change for the negative particle that we're going to be creating. And so now we're asking for suggestions for a word that will mean nothing in its original form, as in like the pronoun nothing, the indefinite pronoun. And yeah, we want M vowel, perhaps a diphthong, followed by another consonant.
Again, starting with M as in mutt,
However,
not N as in nut.
We could change that to mul.
That's true.
Miles is suggesting
something that's very complex.
Maib. And Tim is suggesting muet. Throw
them in.
Can't do these. What? Can't do it.
Oh, I get it. Null. That's funny.
Oh wait, I did. Nope. How did I do that? There we go.
Wow.
I had to remember the.
Mop is good. This is good. Let's see what they look like. So we have mol, moahu, mem, moch, moch. Oh wow, that's a tough one to say. Moch, mak, moho. My favorites so far are mak, mol, moch. Because these are ones that are in the modern showing up as single syllables.
I like mol and mak.
Okay.
A lot.
I like them too. You want to just narrow it down to those two and put them to a vote?
Yeah.
All right.
Mol
we're doing
versus mak.
We're doing it.
I like how strong that is on the end, and it feels like a quick thing to say. It feels like anytime you need to have that pharyngealization of a consonant, it's no longer as quick and biting. Well, Tincture, your little joke was a good form once we changed it over.
Yeah.
And while you're doing that, I know we said save this for another day, but like, I swear, we went through the chart together and decided what needed to be in it. And we even put examples. I thought it was a whole thing.
No, I just don't think that there's any way to get a word that starts with an N that hasn't already been modified and so wouldn't be further modified. Yep. Deleting it.
You're deleting it before we fully verified? Did somebody, I didn't see anyone in chat verify this?
Yep. It's gone.
You're doing it.
That confident.
Goodness. All right. I feel like we may have a winner.
Yeah.
I don't know how many votes are in, but like that feels like a pretty high percentage when over 2/3 appear to be going in the same direction.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, I think this is how it happens. Compounds. Because a nasal is going to assimilate across special word boundaries. And so I think that's how it happens. But in that case, it will be a final nasal and it wouldn't undergo the mutation. And so that doesn't help on initial, but that at least explains why we have just a plain N like that.
Yeah. and like those sounds will exist. It's not. It's just that they won't start that way and then become further, fingerized. Anyway, so that is that. Now we need to figure out our proverb.
Okay. Oh, wait. You did this above, didn't you? No, you did it below. I can find us.
Okay.
All right. And then I'm going to, that was based on the M schwa Q. So I'm going to add that to our list up here of words in the language. Q becomes, yes. Perfect.
Okay. So we're gonna. Okay.
Nice.
Change this to.
We have now honored Mateus's initials in this language by creating muck.
What, like all three?
Well, it says
Oh,
initials.
Mateus Cruel. Yeah.
Voted muck because it sounds like my initials. Oh, and George is saying the next Conlangery episode is up on Patreon and will be public tomorrow. So tomorrow. And Mateus's middle name is indeed an A. Alexander.
Right on. Nice.
Very cool.
That's a good, strong middle name. That also serves as a reminder that soon, we don't have a specific date yet, but soon there is a new video series that's going to be premiering on the LCS YouTube channel called How We Conlang. And it's going to be just a discussion about amongst language creators about how they create languages. Hosted by at least Pete Blakely. I don't know if there's going to be others that are regulars or if the others will be kind of a rotating cast. But anyway, you can look out for that at some point in time in the near future. We don't know exactly when, but it'll be on the LCS YouTube channel. Okay, so chase the bird, and don't chase the bird. Okay.
Like it. We should celebrate.
Do we want to do that before we create our proverb? Because we haven't finished that part yet.
Well, right, but it's already almost 3:30.
I know.
All right.
In order to, so...
and in case you didn't see that, George is saying the idea is for it to be rotating.
Oh, okay.
And Mateus also likes Alexander as a middle name.
Yeah. It's nice to like your own middle name. I really don't like mine.
I like David's middle name.
It's
really unfortunate that he doesn't like it.
I don't like it for two reasons, and I'm not going to talk about either.
Two. You can tell me later?
I think you already know.
I can only think of one, and I don't know, like, for sure, or if I'm misremembering.
You already know if you really do know me.
Well, I had to leave something for the rest of our lives to learn.
This is a relationship test. All right.
I'm gonna write it on a piece of paper and slide it over.
All right. In order to create a negative imperative for an intransitive verb, a proverb must be used with the original verb rendered as an object of the proverb. and then negated in the same fashion as a, and then negated in the same fashion as a, as an object of a transitive verb. An example is shown below.
I have 2 guesses.
That is true. Both of them are correct. The second one could use elaboration, but both are correct.
Yay! Oh, I passed a relationship test.
That's right.
Woo! All right.
I will keep you around for a little while.
Okay, so.
Okay, so.
And Magpie chose their middle name, so they like it.
Oh.
That's a good thing.
Well, that's really nice. I wonder about the circumstance of that. Were you given the choice, or just later you changed it? Or were you just, did you not have one and then later adopted one? It's also an option. But anyway, all right, so proverb. First, we need to ask what the meaning is going to be. There's, after all, we can. There you go. We can use something we already have. So I don't know if you want to throw out ideas for meanings for proverbs, but it could very well be something that we already have. It'll need to be transitive.
Sorry, this is a very important discussion. At the same time, all I can think is Magpie's chosen last name, when I know it's not, but like at the same time, because I know that there was a video in the Conlang Relay, which is why I missed that Magpie was one of the people participating, because Magpie was not in the name. And so, but in my head, I'm like, James Blank Magpie, what is your full name? Anyway.
That actually is correct. I always thought Blank was a really good middle name.
Blank. David Blank Peterson. I like it. There will be a joke coming up that somebody's middle name in How I Met Your Mother became, wait for it.
Oh, no, I know. I've seen that.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of it.
Well, you know, but like I don't want to like ruin things if you haven't seen it yet. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we need a proverb protoform.
Yes, and so it should be transitive. It should be transitive.
Interesting. So, in its use, like in its original use, it would, because it's going to take another verb that's being nominalized as its object. Okay. I am really, here I could see bite.
Poor George. I'm imagining George just being like SpongeBob. All right, I'm gonna head out. I thought of dig.
Dig, bite. These are very transitive-y things.
Yeah.
Scratch. That feels very avoiding though, rather than. Or is it avoiding? Because
you scratch at something you want.
Dogs scratch a lot.
No, I think dig is good, and
Can we discuss though the semantics of a verb like itch in English? I mean, the same thing happens with dust as well. Because if you dust a cake, it's very different from dusting a counter. Well, it can be. Never mind, depending on how you're dusting the counter, because it could have gotten dusted when you dusted the cake. But you know, when you dust the nightstand, chances are
you also intentionally dust the counter when you put dough on it.
That is true. That is true. But anyway, like itch always got to me though, because it's like, oh, I have an itch. Itch it. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that just makes no sense.
I think that one was a later development. That's my guess, because I thought scratch was originally used there exclusively.
Oh, Logan has a grammar group reading. Wow.
Oh. Also,
George, have a good day.
I had a fun one that I just looked up as I was working with GramBank. There was this was for if the synchronic number system has something in place for a vigesimal. that is a base 20, even if it's not the main thing. So, like for example, French has evidence of a vigesimal system in it, even though it's not a base 20 counting system, it's base 10. However, the word for 80 is 4 20s, and the word for 90 is 4 20s plus like 10 or so on. Anyway, so they provide an example of a language that uses hand as a base 5 up to 20. When you get to 20, it uses the word good man, as in like the intention is a person with all of their digits is 20, because they'll have 2 hands with 5 digits and 2 feet with 5 digits. Yeah.
Sorry, I was still ruminating on dig, and part of me is like, David just wants it so he can be like, you dig? Chase the bird, dig it. But I like it, and so I think we should think about a form of dig.
And then for modern dig, we can either reduplicate it or add it to just like do paw dig for that or tool dig.
Yeah. I'm just checking something real quick.
This one should be short. I'm going to recommend a CVV form.
But I'm going to recommend not AI, because we have a lot of AIs to specifically trigger mutations.
Yeah.
And instead, or AE rather, I should say, not AI. AE forms. The VV will still trigger the intervocalic mutations. I think this could trigger mutation if we want it, or we don't want it. Because we're going to have a particle. So never mind. But I still want to avoid the AE just because we've already got a lot of AE diphthongs at the ends, again, to specifically trigger mutation. So
if
CVV, meaning to dig, but something.
If we did EA, it would start with a palatal.
Oh, that could be fun. Oops. Just do this. This means to dig. I'm doing that to, in my head, think of what sounds would I associate with digging. Is that not a process all conlangers use? No? Okay.
I think something like, like hoa, so with a W.
Oh, with a W there?
Yeah. OA. Let's see what happens with that.
We both went for the O as the initial.
Dang. Okay. How about no.
So that's an option if you did want that similar thing, but not ending up as a full disyllabic.
Yeah, do Bubba's if we haven't used it yet. We might have.
I need to double check that.
That's going to be ja.
Because we got, oh no, we did DEE for the beginning of mine. Whoops. Am I not? There we go. I'm going to see.
No, we haven't used that specific thing yet.
Yeah, I don't see it either.
How about, can we do EU?
We should be able to.
Try KEU. Yeah, Q.
Q. Nice.
Tabbies is a good one. Maybe not DEU.
Okay.
That's interesting. What are your 4 favorites from this set?
Sorry, I was trying to figure out what Miles was commenting on. about getting diddly squat.
Uh,
I'm so sorry to hear that, Miles. After paying membership dues. Nothing.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to take out this one just because it's longer.
Sure.
Not because I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
David just knocked down the dog of our LangTime animals up here.
I just wanted to put him back in place.
Mortified for the dog.
Little darling. He's gonna be right here for the rest of the stream.
Tickled a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think I like these four the best.
All right.
Out of them?
Let's do it. Here we go. All right.
Oh, Mateus, that is a beautiful instance of right dislocation. Lovely.
Okay. All right.
I'm also out of water. Good thing. I only have to make it 24 minutes.
You can use mine.
Thank you. Is it because I shared water with you last night?
Yes. By the way, I'm going to be using. I'm going to use IPA to romanization.
That sounds good. Yeah, I'm not sure whether that is potentially a Dutch or a Germanism, but I do know it's hard to find really good written examples of right dislocation, just because it tends to end up reading a bit more conversationally. And so a lot of times when you're using written materials, you don't end up with a lot of instances of right dislocation. And that makes it hard when you're trying to talk about it with, grammar classes and students and trying to find good examples that are just naturally composed, because I always try to find examples that exist just because an author was writing instead of like making up my own examples. And so it was really difficult to like figure out how to get good examples, and some of the best ones ended up coming from interviews because they were spoken, so transcripts of spoken language. But anyway, yeah, it's always fun when I see a good example of it, because it's like, yes, that would have been a great example. I'm not teaching grammar anymore, but I totally would have like written that example down if I were. All right, don't forget to vote. David, do you want to read those four options?
Sure. From top to bottom, we have original poa, which is becoming modern koa. Then we have lea, which is becoming modern. Oh dear, that's supposed to have a dot beneath it. I'm so sorry. It would be modern ja. So it would be pharyngalized. Very sorry about that. Proto-keu becomes modern chu, and then old hui becomes modern hua.
And again, these are for to dig in proto form, and we will decide once we have a form how we'll say dig in modern ways. We didn't create dig, right? God, that would be really embarrassing if we did. Okay, no, that's the only instance in the document, so we're good.
We have a tie, and
hey, Carl. Carl's here. Carl can break the tie.
No, that just made a three-way tie from a two-way tie.
Oh, never mind. We can have a runoff vote.
Yeah.
We can choose our top two out of these and force them to choose from the other two.
So we have chu, and hua.
My favorite are the first and the third.
My favorite are the second and the third.
So definitely between something and the third.
It's going to be a runoff for all three.
A runoff for all three. So now if you voted for kwa, Your votes are especially important now because we're assuming you'll you'll vote for another option that will help us figure this out. Oh, and David's going to fix the pharyngalization dot.
Yeah.
Here we go. And as we're doing this, we should start thinking of where we want to go for the poll.
Yeah. I would say again something with the verbs, but if we want to sidestep that, we can always do the orthography poll. Just got to think about what to do with it. I know that I originally mentioned perhaps doing a logography for the dogs, but I think it's kind of unmanageable. I don't know.
It is in the sense that we would never actually have all the words done on the stream. Mm-hmm. Because if you all think about how long it takes us to do a writing system, and that's a really limited set of symbols, glyphs that we have to create. And that still takes a really big chunk out of every season. Or in the case of Ingala, it also takes a chunk out of after shows as we're trying to redo the Ingala writing system. And so
Carl coming with the heat.
Okay.
You just got sneezed at, Carl.
I hope that my sneeze was much quieter than David's. And so anyway, that's all to say. That would make creating a logography,
yeah,
really, really difficult in our stream. Not that it wouldn't be perfect for this language, but what was our? So this came from Hoi.
Yeah. So we need.
Oh my goodness. Whoop!
There we go.
What do we need? Now I gotta remember how we did that. I'll fix it. Just a second.
Need an intransitive verb.
That we already have.
Yeah.
Besides to sleep, because we use that. Oh wait, we did make mea to sleep. Yeah. We've got run, lajo. We've got, all sorts of lying down.
Let's do lajo. We haven't used that yet. Lajo is to run.
You win the sneezing contest. No. Surely we put the... Do we not have the upsilon on our Conlingry keyboard?
I don't know.
Yikes, I'm going to have to check that. Oh, Jennifer says I have a very feminine sneeze.
How do we negate an intransitive verb? Does it matter?
The intransitive is with to sleep. I'll pull it up here for you. Here we go. No. Here we go. No. Where the heck did we?
We don't actually have a difference.
Here it is. Surely. I thought there was a difference. Oh, that was in aspect, not negation. Sorry. No, we don't.
Yeah.
It's just emphatic or straight negation.
Yeah. So we need to find out if lajo, if it palatalizes or not.
Oh, is it after the mutation?
It disappears. So then it is ajo.
Hmm.
I don't know, maybe it's a.
We don't have any examples, do we? Of
No, can you go to Lexergy? Put I
what's it?
l'aqua. W. That should be enough.
And so it would be ea.
Would it?
Yeah, because we didn't actually. I don't think it made
Put,
it formalized.
Put I, E, and then M. M-U-L.
Oh. Oh, because it becomes a Y. It's intervocalic.
Right. Okay.
So it's ayajo.
That's right.
So it retains the spelling of AI, but we pronounce it yeah.
Yeah. Hey, it's a good thing that Q didn't win, since Q is already a negative copula.
Yikes.
I think it's probably from a different source, but that would be very confusing. Okay, you are sleeping. You are not sleeping. Now, lajo. Sleep. And don't sleep. So, I think nothing happens to it. Walajo.
Yeah, because the mutation isn't triggered until the other side. Oh, and the wa has no effect on an L. It's only the other one that has an effect.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So lajo is sleep. Hua walajo mach. I'm sorry. Hua walajo mak. Hua walajo mak. Yeah, that's good. I like that. Good.
So dig no sleeps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, I like that a lot.
Proverb. And then I'm going to write it in here. Proverb. Hua. And I will put its etymology, oops, here.
I got to start my grammaticalization section for this document.
Well, the theory is that we are not going to need to, because we're writing it directly in there.
It's always, I guess I find it helpful for myself to have a section where all of them are together, so I can see all the verbs instead of having to go through the prose to find all the different ones. So I like actually having it in multiple locations. That's my point.
Sure.
In multiple ways, which is the same reason we have charts down below, is it takes all the prose from a big section and says, here's, you know, like a noun chart or a verb chart. Awesome.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. All right, so yeah, we've completely done the imperatives. We've created a new verb there. Okay.
Yay.
So we're going to change the object to a negative item via, just going to put mak, and then that's, well, I'll go ahead and say that's from
M schwa Q. I guess it would be Q aspirated, yeah, because
that's what I did.
Well, schwa is actually the source.
Oh, schwa. Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Well, right, and I'm glad you did that, but I did not do it up here on our list for the dictionary. That needs to eventually go in.
That's good stuff. I like this. That's really nice. This thing is really coming together. Except for that R.
Well, I'm going to say it feels really dialectal that some dogs will have a tap and other dogs are going to have a r. And so, you know, it feels very dialectal to me.
Might have to enshrine that. One sec.
I think David is making this dialect a reality. So now the question is, because putting this in a legitimate dialect is really for David, what kind of dog do you think David would be grouped with? And so, what feels like a David dog? And I'm going to go ahead and limit it to a discussion of small dogs because like even medium dogs David feels are too big. Big dogs are definitely too big for David. He's not such a fan.
Yeah.
And particularly a well-behaved small dog that is not going to come up and lick you.
That's right.
Upon greeting or jump on you upon greeting.
It has some
Beagles are his favorite.
Oh,
so if you want to get on David's good side, suggest a beagle. Yeah, I think the biggest kind of dog David likes is a beagle. I, on the other hand, am like, I love big dogs that I don't have to bend down too far to pet. Mateus, you and I tell you what, we're just one of a kind here.
All right, there we go.
I tolerate little dogs because they're dogs.
And then down here, this.
All right, so Magpie says Pomeranian. Viren says Boston Terrier. Jake says Chihuahua.
Chihuahua is good. It's good. But yeah, I love beagles. I love papillons.
Oh, Italian Greyhound.
Pomeranians are good. What are they?
Aren't the Italian Greyhounds the small ones that look exactly like a big greyhound but are small? I'm gonna find out. It is indeed what I was thinking of. They look exactly like a greyhound, but they're tiny. Like that could fit in your purse.
Huh. How quaint.
New York City, these are very popular because they stay small, which is good for. Well, these look bigger though. These are much bigger, so maybe that's a different kind of thinking of. But yeah, like in a lot of cities, you'll see these really small dogs that look like greyhounds but are super small, and so they're good for like apartment living. 'Cause, you know, running around an apartment, you can only get so far if you've got big legs. Oh, and Viren says, "Oh, papillons are very David." Now that you say that, so
yeah, they're good.
Miles says Italian Greyhounds are dogs, but American Greyhounds are buses. Oh my god, that's awesome. I don't remember which one. Oh, okay. That's very cute. And what is Sarah's dog? It's a Pomsky? Yes. These also remind me of David. These cute little half Pomeranian and half Husky. They're very cute. Although they usually aren't. A lot of them end up being kind of multicolored instead of black and white, or they're just like white. But very cute because they still got the curled tail, but they're just tiny.
All right. Made some adjustments there.
All right. So did you pick a dialect, David?
No, I just wrote that there is tremendous dialectal variation in the pronunciation of R.
So I'll go to that.
My mother had a Scotty dog. One point in time.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, both my parents have had all sorts of kinds of dogs. I come from dog people. Yeah, you're right, Bubba. David is a fox, the cattiest of the canines out there. I agree with that assessment. So
get high enough to do it
the
anymore.
foxes definitely have a tapped R. Okay.
Oh,
it is not, Jared.
No,
no.
Not even close.
It's actually really awful. To the point where I think David has been sent translations that have been done through it, and he has no idea what they're supposed to even be trying to say. Like,
yeah,
it's awful.
Some of them it's really embarrassing. It's like something that would translate to 2 words. Those 2 words are in there grammatically incorrect, and then there's like some extra word. There is just like they just threw it on the end.
You gonna get Kopiko? Because
it is time. We have accomplished so much.
And we don't know
that we got to 355 without a poll.
Kopiko.
And a Kopiko. Very sorry. There you go, partner. I am totally on top of everything.
I mean, I've been waiting. I suggested one of these at like 3:30.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, it really cannot. And Mateus, you're absolutely right. Like, unless it's an essay that's meant to follow a very, very structured ABC kind of thing.
Also, I've discovered with
even then it makes up stuff that shouldn't be there.
ChatGPT itself, it often hedges. It's like it'll say, like at the end of its translating, it's like, bear in mind, there aren't many resources on this language, and this translation is the best that we could do. It's not guaranteed to be accurate, something like that. I thought that was at least honest of the machine.
Oh my goodness, David, can we celebrate your pronunciation?
Kapiko. Enjoy.
Good pronunciation all the time.
Can't take me anywhere. I'm thinking maybe we should do the orthography poll. See what ideas we can come up with. It just might not be up until Monday. We got 2 important things that we have to do tonight in addition to shopping. So I don't know how things are going, what time we'll have. We're going to find out now. But the orthography poll, I think, makes sense. It's about time.
That sounds good to me. Which means now we can choose a direction for where we're going next.
I mean, just more verb stuff.
You heard it here first, folks. More verb stuff.
Yeah. Or jump to where I am.
Oh. Then I won't finish my thought. I'm going to jump to where David is.
Go ahead and finish your thought.
Well, I was going to say we've got like 2 minutes. Let's do a dictionary entry so we can clear out some of those words off the top list.
Yeah.
No? Okay, David's not feeling it.
Well, I mean, you can go ahead and do it. Let's do a dictionary.
No, now we only have a minute and a half. Let's look at this list.
It's fine. There's nothing wrong with we can do both. I just wanted everybody to look. Look, we want to do more verb things. That's all. All right.
Here. Oh, wait.
We can cross that off.
Woo!
Delete it. Very good. All right.
Oh, that's exciting. I think it would be interesting. I'm still not sure how I want to handle or want to even talk about handling future, but I think we could do some interesting things with continuative and habitual to build off of what we've already done for the, I guess, perfective kind of reading. And so I think that could really be interconnected with what we already have and could be built on a discussion. And so that's awesome. Ooh, Jake, glad you made it. And have a great week.
I'm entering the verb for sleep in the dictionary.
Had we done any verbs?
No, but we now know how they're entered. They're all of them are going to have the same type of entry. But I don't know what the protoform of sleep is. Mea. What's
Mea is M-E-A.
That's the protoform?
Yeah. And
the modern form has a schwa?
Yeah, Mea.
All right.
And it's more than to sleep because it's also to curl, lie down, or happy sleep lie.
Okay. A, O, and wa. sleep derives originally from the and that suggests sleeping happily and soundly while curled up in the way dogs do. Original word for sleep now functions as what?
It now functions as the perfective for intransitive verbs.
Okay. Now functions as the perfective for intransitive verbs.
You want an S on that function.
The original word for sleep, and then it's
oh.
Oh. Okay. There we go. Now we have
and then I'm going to go to where David put that. So we've got that. Actually, it was meant to be to lie down, not even to sleep. We said if they're lying that way, they're probably sleeping. But it was one of our 3 ways to say lie down. That was why we have it.
Mea?
Yeah, it meant to lie down.
Oh, and this is misspelled. That should actually be
yeah,
that.
Yeah, the down.
And that should be that. Yeah, so it derives originally from lying, not sleeping. So I fixed it. All right.
Yay!
Got it.
All right. Exactly, Magpie. There we go. See, Magpie knows what I'm on about. And we got 1 M entry. Perfect. 1 thing off our little list up here. And awesome. Cool. Well, thank you all for being here. We hope you have a great end of the month. And we will see you next week for the first stream in July. And so until then, stay grammar. David's going to sign us out here. He remembers his job.
Yep. Bye, everybody.
Bye.